Okay, here's a wild thought for you. What if I told you that the sicker a country gets, the more its economy seems to, well, prosper? It sounds completely backwards, I know. But today, we're going to dig into this really strange paradox at the heart of how we measure success.
Just let that sink in for a second. The core idea from the material we're looking at today is that Americans getting older, fatter, and sicker is somehow a win for economic growth. I mean, it just feels wrong on every level, doesn't it? So how on earth could our personal misfortunes be tallied up as some kind of national success? And that's really the big question we're tackling here. How can our sickness possibly equal our prosperity? To figure that out, we're going to have to pop the hood on the economy and see how its engine is actually measured. So let's start by unpacking this strange paradox. It seems the very way we measure economic growth might have a fundamental sickness baked right into it. To really get this, we need to step into what I'm calling the GDP engine room. And that means getting crystal clear on that one big number everyone always points to as a sign of progress.
Yep, that metric is GDP, or gross domestic product. You've heard it a million times. It's basically the total price tag of everything produced in a country. Every car, every coffee, every single surgery. When GDP goes up, we're told the economy is healthy. When it goes down, everybody starts to worry.
And this chart really shows you what powers that GDP number. Just look at it. The single biggest piece of that pie by a long shot is consumer spending. What you and I buy every day is the main fuel for the entire economic engine. So the logic seems pretty simple then, right? If we spend more, GDP goes up and the economy looks strong. But this is where we have to ask a more specific question. Where is all that new spending actually coming from? And here's the kicker. The biggest driver of growth isn't what you might think, like new cars or fancy electronics. The data clearly shows that the fastest growing category of consumer spending is, by far, healthcare and pharmaceuticals. This leads us to a really provocative question. When we hear pundits talking about a red-hot economy, are we actually seeing the whole picture? Or is a big chunk of that heat coming not from confidence, but from something a lot closer to spending out of fear? It's because not all spending is created equal. Think about it in two buckets. On one side, you have confidence spending, choosing to buy a new car or booking a vacation because you feel good about the future. But on the other side, there's coercion spending, money you have to spend on an unexpected hospital visit or a life-saving prescription. It's spending driven by necessity, not by choice. So what's behind all this coercion spending? Well, it's things like a massive, super complex healthcare bureaucracy with all sorts of broken financial incentives, or even just the fear of losing your insurance, which can actually push people to get procedures done while they know they're still covered. All of this activity gets added to the GDP, but it hardly feels like genuine prosperity, does it? All of this really forces us to take a step back and ask, what does a healthy economy even mean anymore? If it includes so much activity that's born from sickness and fear, well, maybe we need to completely redefine what prosperity is. This table just lays it all out, plain and simple. On the surface, the standard story says rising GDP and high consumer spending are signs of a strong, confident economy. But the hidden story this data suggests is, well, it's an economy that looks inflated by sickness, with spending that's driven by fear and necessity. And so, that leaves us with this final, really crucial question. If our main measure of national success actually goes up when our collective health goes down, then what are we really measuring? Is it true prosperity, or is it just the rising cost of our problems?